So, the controversial topic of the day. Should Christians support Black Lives Matter? Look, I know that this is an old conversation, and this is something that I probably should have talked about before, but I wanted to take some time to talk about it to be fully educated on the subject. Y'all ready? Let's get into it. Before you watch this video, hey, my name is Penn-Timity. I make YouTube videos. I'm about to get back into it this year. Yesterday was my birthday at the time of recording this. And so I wanted to be able to start off this year 25 of actually posting on the YouTube. So I hope that you guys like this. If you like the video, like and subscribe. Let's get into it. So, should Christians support Black Lives Matter? That is a big question that I remember being asked a lot last year. Not as much being asked this year because, there's all this talk about critical race theory and what that means and all that type of stuff. And it's less about the actual organization Black Lives Matter. But I think that this whole conversation needs to be split into two different things. Now, I think there are two different concepts that are being spoken about here. First is, should we support Black Lives Matter, the organization? And then second is, does the term or the phrase, the slogan, whatever you want to call it, Black Lives Matter, does it make any sense to say? Now, personally, as you can tell, I'm a black man. It's not like it was a question. It's not like anyone was wondering, is he black? Is he, even though I've had people think I'm Dominican, I am not. I am black. And so one of the things that I often run into is I actually am a youth pastor at a mostly white church. And so most of the people that I minister to are white, even though a lot of my youth group is a little bit of a mix. But in that, I get into a lot of conversations with white people and they're wondering, hey, what about this? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And they try and get me to be kind of the voice for black people because for some of them, I'm the only black person that they have close to them. And so in this, I want to actually talk and I want to say, first of all, that I am not all black people. I cannot speak for all black people. So if you're looking for this definitive evidence about what all black people think, then you cannot look at me. Now, if you want to look at me to be the person to say, hey, this is what Penn-Timity thinks, then you have clicked on the right video. See, I think the first thing that we got to understand is what this whole slogan Black Lives Matter means. See, this whole slogan was kind of started as a kind of way to just say, hey, everyone is paying attention to all these other people and they're looking at all these majority groups. And if y'all are not from America, hey, the majority group in America is white people. You go to some other countries and the majority group isn't white people. I remembered one time when I went to Peru. I went to Peru with a bunch of white people in my mission trip group. And I remembered it was different because it was a lot of course, Peruvian people, but then there are people that had skin color like me. And so they were the minority. The white people were the minority in that group. But in America, Black, Hispanic, Asian, we're the minorities. So in this, you have to really think about this. What are they trying to say with this whole Black Lives Matter slogan? I think the only thing that they're trying to say with the Black Lives Matter slogan is they're trying to remind you that Black lives do matter. They're not saying that Black lives matter more. They're not saying that Black lives matter more than other people, that Black lives matter now, but they didn't matter before. That's not what they're saying. What they're trying to do is they're trying to bring attention to the fact that, hey, Black lives matter too. And maybe it should have been advertised as that at first. Maybe it should have been Black Lives Matter too. So people can understand what they're trying to say. They're not trying to say that Black lives matter more, that they matter more than any other people group. They're trying to say Black lives matter too. And so I think that's a very important thing to say. And some people, they ask me, hey, Baba, do you think that racism still exists? And I would honestly say, can you look around? Obviously racism still exists. And sadly, I don't think racism is going to die. I actually believe that racism is still going to be prevalent. Racism is still going to exist until the end of time. Until God completely gets rid of sin, I do believe that racism will still exist. So I guess if you're asking me, Do I think that black people who are Christian should put up Black Lives Matter, or white people or Asian people or Hispanic people who are Christian, should they put up Black Lives Matter? And I would say that, honestly, I think it's up to your discretion. I don't think it makes you not Christian to put it up. I don't think it even makes you liberal. Like, I don't think it makes you a Democrat to put that up. I just think it's a preference thing. Personally, I didn't put it up because I know personally how people do things. And I know that people look at highlight reels instead of listening to what you have to say. And so instead of actually having this like little snippet, I would rather just have time that I can dialogue with people and tell people about the things that matter to black people. And that's where my mindset is, and that's how I think about things. So my personal discretion, I never put up Black Lives Matter because I didn't want people to misunderstand what I mean by that. But if someone wants to have a full conversation with me and say, hey, do you think racism exists? I would say, yeah. Do you think that there are things that go wrong in the community? Yeah. Like, I think all of these terrible things happen. I think they treat us badly, but I didn't put that up for that reason. But a lot of people, they kind of villainize the people that were putting up Black Lives Matter, especially if they weren't black and they were putting up Black Lives Matter. They make it seem like they were a social justice warrior, or they were virtue signaling and all that type of stuff, which might be true in some of these cases. But I think some people were just trying to say, hey, we hear you, we're listening to you, we got you. Now, the second thing that we have to think about is, should Christians support Black Lives Matter, the organization? Personally, I don't think that Christians should be supporting Black Lives Matter, the organization. That is my personal opinion. That is my personal belief. Because when you look on their website and you look at their belief system, you start to recognize that there's some things that are not congruent with the Christian worldview. Now, I want to say this though, because a lot of the people were putting up Black Lives Matter before this organization even came up. So I want you guys to know that just because they're putting up Black Lives Matter does not mean that they are supporting the organization. A lot of the times they're just supporting the movement. And I think the movement needs to be separated from the organization. Because there's a lot of stuff that people will say is the right thing to do under this organization that are the not right thing to do, not moral thing to do under Christian belief. And so I have that mindset where I believe that a Christian can support Black Lives Matter if they're talking about the movement. If they're talking about, hey, Black Lives Matter too. Hey, if they're talking about this. But if they are saying anything else, if they're saying like, hey, Black Lives Matter more, if they're saying Black Lives Matter only, then yes, that's a problem. But a lot of people, that's not what they're saying. And I think that a lot of the times this can all be kind of taken away if we actually listen to each other. Because if we're not listening to each other, of course, we're going to make these really, really dumb assumptions. And that's what I think a lot of this is. It's a lot of dumb assumptions. I am under the true belief that God loves everybody. And because of my belief in the creation story, and my belief that God breathed life into everyone, I believe that we are made in the image of God. So I believe that everyone's made in the image of God, whether you're Asian, whether you're Hispanic, whether you're black, whether you're white. And I don't think it should be about who is better, because nobody is. But I do think it's very important for us to recognize sometimes that there are people groups that will be attacked at certain times. And there are people groups who feel oppression at certain times. And it does not mean that we need to sit here and I think it's so weird and cringy when these white pastors and stuff like that will start like trying to apologize for all of whiteness ever to ever happen. No, because I am under the belief that, hey, those things that were done by other people. They're not done by you. Now, if you feel in your heart that you have some racism in your heart, that you have some partiality in your heart, then yeah, you probably need to deal with that. You'll probably need to talk to some people. You probably need to tell a black person you're sorry, because that's where your mind's at. But if your mind isn't there, then you're fine. And so that's my whole belief in this whole thing. If anyone wanted to listen to my ideas about it, that is it. So what do you think? Do you think I'm crazy? Do you think I got some good points? What do you think? Put it in the comments below and share this with a friend if you guys want to be able to start a conversation, maybe start an argument, whatever it may be. Start your little conversation below, and let's remember to be kind and respectful of other people's opinions. All right, see you in the next video.